against the wall, I'm never giving up, I give my all. I'm never looking back, attack, it's in the past. Stand up, stand up, stand up. You ain't ready for me. Give me your best shot, the stronger I stand. Not looking for sympathy. What doesn't kill me makes me who I am. A soldier fights till he's free. You ain't ready for me. You ain't ready. You ain't ready. You ain't ready. You ain't ready for me. A little bit of hope, a little bit of hurt, a little bit of get what you deserve. Driving through the mud and blood, I've had enough. Am I getting through? Time to come alive. Do you wanna live before you die? Hold on to your truth till you'll never lose. Stand up, stand up, stand up. You ain't ready for me. Give me your best shot.
Hey guys, how you doing? Let's begin where we left off, right? So we left off with I think it was the Abomination fight, right? So we pick up at the events of Civil War, and, well, I think the first part of it, like the first part of the movie, you know, where Cap, Falcon, Black Widow, and Scarlet Witch, we're going to leave that the same. No Quicksilver, no Vision. We're not going to get an explanation on where they were. We could probably say that Quicksilver was not there. He was with War Machine and Vision doing something else, because they are the most powerful members of that team, so they could have been sent on a much harder mission. We'll just say that, okay? They were sent on a much harder mission to make sure, you know, maybe another terrorist group or something like that, basically. Okay, so we'll just say that just to make it sound cooler, sound better. You guys can envision it. Or, well, that was probably bad because we have vision in this video, and I said envision. But anyway, you guys, yeah. We're gonna leave that part the same. Scarlet Witch, you know, catches Crossbones. We get that whole sequence where she throws him the explosion, takes out a Wakandan embassy. Cap calls for medical attention, and we pick up at the Avengers base. We see Quicksilver Quicksilver and Captain America talking to Wanda about the Lagos incident, and that, you know, it's not her fault. I mean, technically, she should have, you know, Quicksilver, regrets that he should have been there. He could have got it done, got it faster, maybe disarmed him, and maybe, you know, thrown the grenade somewhere, or maybe just punch Crossbones halfway across the city. Maybe that would have saved it. You know, many things could have happened. So let's just take the what if and make it happen. So what if Quicksilver was there in the Lagos incident? So if Quicksilver was there, it would actually be a much safer incident. Maybe, probably. So I would say at this point, if you have Quicksilver, you know, he's basically waiting in the distance, probably licking an ice cream or whatever, you know, or maybe sipping on tea with Wanda and stuff. So we have that point. The truck begins to move, and we see Cap say, Falcon, Quicksilver, you guys know what to do. We see Quicksilver follow the truck, and he gets the guard out of his booth, and, you know, moves him to a safe distance, and that truck pretty much runs over and crash. You know, runs over the gate, crashes. You know, the whole Crossbones scene happens. We see Quicksilver pretty much, you know, protecting Wanda, while with Falcon as well. You know, Quicksilver is bouncing around, knocking out henchmen. And then, you know, we get to the scene where Captain America basically drops the mess out of Crossbones. Sure, yeah, Crossbones got his hits in, but then Cap was like, all right, you know what? You're making me mad. I'm just going to have to drop you like a sorry sack of potatoes. So yeah, that still happens because that is one of the best Captain America, quickest and most clever fight sequences ever. So with that scene out the way, we then get to the part where Crossbones is about to deploy his bomb. Wanda holds him, and Quicksilver runs up, hits him with that fist, and just goes boom. But unfortunately, I would have to say this sends him in maybe a less threatening area, a less casualty area, it sends him flying and he explodes. And the explosion still kills maybe a lot less people than it would have in Civil War, like the original version. Ooh, excuse me. Sorry about that. Yeah, it kills a lot less people this time. Besides, half of the building is really not gone, or majority of the building is saved because of that. But people are still dead. Yeah, so not much of a save, but yeah, that would be my what if scenario if he was in there. So, matter of fact, let's carry on with this. So with that incident, we go to the Avengers Mansion where both Wanda and Pietro are pretty much watching TV, and they're really upset. And government's calling them out. What are her qualifications, and what are their qualifications? These two twins were former Hydra agents working for Baron von Strucker. And the same stuff that happened in Age of Ultron gets replayed again. Then Ross comes in. He says, you Avengers are becoming, you guys have done many good things for the world. But did you know your good things have bad consequences? Then we actually think about it, it's like, oh, so we're playing that card, huh? So people aren't really grateful for the stuff we do. Yes, we have lives too. We can't help everybody and we can't save everybody. Even, he's the fastest man alive. He cannot save everybody. So, yeah, it's just, the same thing with Ross happens. And, Lago, he plays the whole, video instances where he has, each city, he has Hulk tearing stuff up. But I think we should have extended that and showed at least, the most powerful members of the Avengers destroying stuff. We have Hulk, busting Shatari up and, buildings crumbling. It's still falling on people, hurting people somehow. Then you have Thor when he pretty much, wrecked a small town with the destroyer. And then he blows up the city of Sokovia, and then you see that rubble going over the environment. Maybe it lands on a house. You can see like the consequences of it, because certain actions do have consequences, you guys. That's what I think would be a good part to include in the story. And then you get the age. Then you get the whatchamacallit, you get the whole Sokovia battle. Maybe right after that, maybe they got a little snippet of what actually was happening. Maybe they didn't save everybody, and then they finally play the Lagos incident where both Wanda and Pietro are like holding their heads like, oh, jeez, man, you ain't had to make us feel that bad about it. And that's when Cap's like, okay, enough. So Ross leaves the cords like usual, keep that part the same. Iron Man and Tony's interaction, basically the whole team's interaction happens. Vision gives his explanation of why he should join, or why they should join. Then, Cap goes, Peggy's funeral still happens, he and Widow hug it out. We're going to keep all those parts the same. Now, we get to the point where we have Wanda and Vision's interaction. Now, with Quicksilver there, we have a moment where she's not allowed to leave, and Quicksilver, and, Vision grabs her. That's when we see Quicksilver kind of like perk up the eye, like, bro, you want to let her go? Like... we cool, but we ain't that cool. But honestly, I think it would be much more difficult and a lot more interesting to see how Vision would handle Quicksilver in this kind of scenario. Because let's be honest, that dude would have left Vision in the dust every single time he could leave the house. That would be interesting to see, that he doesn't want him to leave, and then you see Quicksilver like, yeah, sure, boom, just like dips right around the Vision. Just like, oh dang, he left you in the dust, buddy. That's not looking good for you. So I think it would be pretty cool to see that he does this every time. And I think when Quicksilver actually does leave, this time he goes to and he talks to Hawkeye. I think that would be a good interaction, considering he saved his life and stuff. And well, the baby would have been named Nathaniel at the time, so yeah, I think that would be pretty good. So he goes on and he visits Hawkeye. He tells Hawkeye about the whole Sokovia Accord incidents, and Hawkeye is like, ugh, Okay, give me a second. And then, Hawkeye asks about his sister, and he's like, oh, yeah, she's good. They're just keeping guard of her. And then, that's when Cap arrives, because we already know Cap must have met Hawkeye at some point, or maybe somebody met Hawkeye at some point. We're going to say it's Cap because it makes the most sense. It was his movie. It was his time to shine. So we get that scene in there where he talks to Hawkeye, and then he's like, oh, great. I was going to ask if you could join. And Quicksilver's like, yeah, I am so in, man. Let's get him. So then, we get the Hawkeye versus Vision scene, and then we get Wanda putting him 6 feet under the floor with a broken heart. Poor Vision. He will never be the same again. So, with that being said, yeah, I think Civil War would carry on. Then we get to the airport scene where, Ant-Man is there. And then we get the introduction to Spider-Man. Now, Tony and Spider-Man's interaction would be the same as well. I think that would be pretty good. It would be, keep it the same. But a little note. Tony this time with his team brings the Iron Legion. Now, you might ask, why is that? Because Tony wants to make this end quicker. You see, with Quicksilver actually surviving the incident and having more power on, Cap's side with Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, I think it would be more logical for Iron Man's team to have some type of mini advantage here. Cap has the power, Tony has the numbers, okay? So I think most of the parts of Civil War will play out the same, except we see Cap tell Quicksilver to search for the jet instead of fighting, because he's the fastest one to do that. And then we see, that kind of makes the running scene fair. So Quicksilver eventually finds the jet, and then, he sees, his team struggling. They have the Iron Legion and Iron Man's team. And this is when Quicksilver, does that little neck crack, like, oh, okay. Boom! He rushes in, takes out like 3, maybe 5 of the Iron Legion. We're going to say Iron Man has like 15 of those guys. And, they're being taken out the ways the others can. Quicksilver's taking out his. And he's bouncing around from opponent to opponent. So he's then, you get that brief moment period where Cap fights Spider-Man. And he's like, hey, Cap, I found the jet. Okay, it's time for us to go. So then we actually skip the scene with Black Widow. Black Widow scene wouldn't happen because Quicksilver would have grabbed him and Winter Soldier, and they would have rushed over, and then bow. They're at the jet, they get to leave. Quicksilver goes back and holds them off. Then we get a good Quicksilver versus Vision scene. We have him, what's it called? We have, Quicksilver, battling against, what's his name? Giant Man, right? We have Quicksilver battling against Giant Man. And then we have him pretty much snatch Quicksilver by the cape and just thrash him around. Now, that would have been a very cool and interesting scene, and that would have made one funny scene at that. So, yeah, we would have had a good Quicksilver versus Vision scene. We will also have him ragdolling, dodging Vision's best attacks, and then, he's kind of like rocking him. Vision using his phasing the best he can to defend himself. And yeah, I think it would be very good to see a Quicksilver versus Vision fight. And then at the end of it, Team Cap loses, sacrifice, all that good stuff. How would they get Quicksilver? I gotta say it would be a coordinated thing. Black Panther, War Machine, Iron Man, and Vision eventually trip him up. You could add Spider-Man to it as well. He places webs on the ground, eventually catches Quicksilver into a certain trap. And so with that being said, yeah, I think at the end of the day, yeah, I think that's how Civil War would play out. Now, everything from here would actually go the same way on and forth. Cap and Winter Soldier versus Iron Man. Black Panther, snuck along, learns the truth about Iron Man's parents, about his dad as well. And yeah, Civil War would continue the same. We get Iron Man's interaction still, mind you, before this whole incident happens. And then, he's like, they're kids. What are you doing? He gets that interaction with Ross, like, These two are kids. Really? Come on. We get his interactions all the same with everyone in the prison area. The funny Ant-Man part. Like, who are you again? Come on, man. And so everything will go the same. So you guys, I hope you enjoyed this Civil War part. Part 3 coming out very soon. Please comment down below. Please like and subscribe and share with your friends. This is Legendary Ghidorah, and I will be seeing you guys later. Peace.